Welcome to my channel, Math with Dennis. This is our first of so many chapters in math, and today I thought about introducing chapter 1 since the academic year is starting real soon, and I believe many of you, my viewers, have completed the IGCSE and you are now heading to A level. So many of you that have been following, I posted some chapters, some topical discussions and past paper questions about particular topics and how to solve them, and I believe that helped in your preparations for your final exams. But right now, I want to start this crash course of A-level pure mathematics. Pure 1 is done at year 12, and then pure, the next one, that you would say pure 2, pure 3, these are done at A level. There is AS level and A level. So AS level, pure 1 mathematics is compulsory. I'm going to tailor these next videos following the syllabus, the Cambridge syllabus, CIE, and this is the first unit on the syllabus. It's called quadratic equations, and the subtopics under quadratic equations will be following in the next videos. So today I'm introducing quadratics. I believe many of you have done quadratics before, and I believe you understood them. Yes, so I was explaining about this course that I'm going to start today. It's called Pure 1 Mathematics. The paper code is 9709. All Cambridge International students are doing 9709 mathematics, and those of students who are going to be in AS at AS level, the paper code is 9709. It's important that you understand your exam code before you start the lessons. So this helps to know which past papers do I practice with. Okay, so after this unit, today's video, you can also look up for past papers. The code is 9709. This helps you practice. You can look up for questions about quadratics and you can try them out. You can post the comments and I can also help you in the coming videos. So let's begin. Hopefully this video you find this video very helpful. All right. Okay. So as I said that I believe quadratics have been explained at your previous level, IGCSE, at 10, year 11, and you have a clue, you have an idea. So I've started with a starter. I call it a starter when I'm teaching. So this starter here helps to revive, to remind you of the basics that you have learned and some of the terminologies you used during your lesson at IGCSE level. So I'll give you a minute for you to try out these questions, and I'll also display the answers to these questions before I start the A-level content of quadratics. Alright, so you can start. Alright, class, I hope you started and I hope you're still continuing. Well, these on the left, the questions are about to find the value of x. You can use all the methods you can remember from IGCSE. In the middle, it is you can call it simultaneous equations, but these simultaneous equations involve one quadratic and one is not quadratic. And then on the extreme right, it is about turning points. So all these are subtopics that I'll be explaining in the coming videos. But first, we are going to focus on the type of questions that is on the extreme left, solve for x. And I'll be explaining how to apply this knowledge in different situations. Okay, but today we are mainly going to focus on solving for the unknown in a quadratic equation. At IGCSE, you've been explained to by the teacher the difference between a quadratic linear equation. So the different types of equations. So quadratic equations, one of the outstanding properties, it has a power 2. And that power 2 implies that whatever you solve, whenever you solve, you will always get two answers. So any equation with a power 2 is called a quadratic equation. And quadratic equations have a number of ways or methods you can use to solve them. Alright? For a start, we are going to look at all of them, but for now, in this particular video, we're going to start with factorizing. So, at the end of this lesson, I expect my viewers to understand how to solve quadratic equations using factorization. I also, at the end of this video, I expect my viewers to know the difference between a quadratic equation, linear and a linear equation, and other types of equation. Basically, I'll expect you to tell the difference. You look at an equation and you know this is a quadratic equation. Why? Because it has this power 2. However much the arrangement is changed, you will be able to tell that this is a quadratic equation, and you'll be able to solve this quadratic equation using factorization. So this video is, the learning objective is to learn how to solve quadratics using factorization. Thank you very much. So I hope everyone is ready to begin, and you have tried these extreme left. So I'll write the answers right now. I hope you got them correct. Just give me... Okay, so my pen is ready. So the first equation, x squared plus 5x plus 6, remember I told you they have to be two answers. So the first answer will be x equals -2, and another one would be -3. This would be the first answer. So if you solved and you got this, kudos, thank you very much. That was really brilliant. And then the second one would be, the two answers would be 1 and 3. So this one would be 1 and 3. And then the third one, there would be the two answers would be 3 and -3. Okay, and then the second last, the answers would be 2/3 and then -4. And then lastly, this one, both answers would be 2. Remember, I told you in a quadratic, we always get two answers. Alright, so these ones, both of them will be 2. In math, we call them equal roots. So the answers we are getting for a particular quadratic, sometimes they're called roots. In A level, you get used to this term. They can give you a quadratic and they'll tell you find the roots of the equation, and then they write a quadratic equation. So if they say find the roots of the equation and you realize the equation is a quadratic equation, they're telling you to solve for x. So solve for x is a way of asking you to solve at IGCSE. Although even in A level it is a common question, you can say solve for x, but then here you get new words like roots. So a root is still the value of x, the solution to the equation. Alright, so now I'm going to explain how we get some of these answers. I'll be using different examples, but I'll be explaining, and if you follow my explanation, you can use it to solve these very questions and you'll be getting these very answers. Remember, aim is to learn the factorization method. I've not talked about the one in the middle, the questions in the middle or the extreme end, because these ones will come in the next video. So today we are mainly focusing on this type of equations and how to solve them using factorization. Okay, let's continue. So question number 1, all right? So as we are testing, I'm testing the skills of quadratics that you got before. Now we are going to focus on AS level, basically A level, how to factorize such an equation. Okay, so how do we start? So basically, we start by making sure that this equation is equal to 0. When you look at it right now, it is not equal to 0, it is equal to 10. So how do we create a 0 at the extreme right of the equal sign? So what we do, just looking for my pen. Okay, here it is. So what we do, we can say 6x squared plus 11x. So this 10, when it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a negative. So we do that. Now you realize that on the left, on the extreme right of the equal sign, there's nothing there. So we write a 0. Now here we have equated the equation to 0. So let me rewrite this in bigger letters. Okay, just a second. So 6x squared plus 11x minus 10 equals 0. So that's 0. So now we have this. Now, when we are using factorization method, one thing I forgot to mention is this, that all quadratic equations are in this form. It is really important that you understand that all quadratic equations is always in this, arranged in this form, where the 0 is at the extreme right, and there are some letters. I'll write it in this color so it's seen. Bx plus c equals 0. So the letter that is with the x squared, the letter that's with the x, these are called coefficients. Coefficients. Say after me, coefficients. Alright? So the coefficient of x squared is a, the coefficient of x is b, and this letter without any x or any other letter is called the constant. Alright? So a, b, and c are real numbers. So they can be negatives, they can be fractions, they can be negatives, fractions, they can be positive integers, but they cannot be 0. Alright? So if they are 0, then this equation ceases to be a quadratic equation. Okay, so when you look at our new equation that we created, 6x squared plus 11x minus 10, this is in the form of a quadratic equation. So we shall look at A, B, and C in detail using another method of solving quadratics. So right now, important thing to note is the formation, how a quadratic is formed. All right. Okay, so when you're using factorization, there are two terminologies that you have to focus on. One is called the sum, another one is called the product. Okay, so what is a sum and what is a product? We all know a sum is the answer we get after addition. All right, the answer we get after addition is called sum, and product is the answer we get after multiplying. So the sum is always the one with the x, the coefficient of x. The b is always the sum, and the c is always the product. Am I clear? The sum is the coefficient of x, and the product is the coefficient, it is the c, a constant, a number without any letter. Alright, so now let's start factorizing. So basically when we are starting, we multiply. In this case, the coefficient of x squared is not 1. So even if it is 1, this method cuts across. So we multiply the coefficient, the a, with the c. Okay? So when we multiply the a with the c, you realize that we shall get negative 60. Okay? But the negative can be in our minds right now. And then we start looking for factors. So the product is 60, negative 60, and the sum is 11. So let's look for the factors. What are factors? Factors are numbers you multiply to get a particular number. So in this case, the particular number we're talking about is 60. So which two numbers can we multiply to get 60? But if we add them, which two numbers do we multiply to get negative 60? Because the product is negative 60. So which two numbers do we multiply to get negative 60 and we add to get 11? So let's start by writing out the factors of 60. So we start with 1, obvious 1. So 1 and 60, 2 and 30, all right? 2 and 30, 3 and 20. All these multiplied, we get 60. But at the back of the mind, you have to remember that these two numbers multiplied, I must get negative 60, and these two numbers added, I must get 11. So if we add just any of these pairs, we can get our negative 60. But when we add them, do we get 11? So we go to 4. So it is 4 times 15. All right. So if you look at 4 and 15, you realize that these ones, if we add just a bit, we give one a negative, we give one a minus, we can get, when added together, we can get 11. So basically, 15 minus 4 is 11. Okay, so that means our factors will be, for this equation, will be negative 4 and 15. So we come here to our equation, 6x squared. Now instead of 11, we are going to substitute this part with the factors that we chose. So we have plus 15 I was just adjusting my pen, sorry for that. Okay, so we have 4 and 15, so we can say the arrangement here doesn't matter. You can start with the 15 or you can start with the 4, as long as you see that. I'll show you the next step where you can always adjust. Just a second. So here we shall write minus. Remember, we've said that the 4 will be a minus. So this will be minus 4x plus 15x. and then minus 10 equals 0. So the arrangement in the middle doesn't matter as long as we can get 11. If you minus 4x plus 15 is plus 11x, and the other two numbers, the other two terms, the 6x squared and the minus 10 are already from the original equation. The only part we've adjusted is the sum, the bx, the coefficient of x is the part we have adjusted. Alright, so here you pair up this part, so we can write 6x squared minus 4x. This is one big block, and then plus, and then 15x minus 10. This is another block. Remember, there is this 15x equals 0. So in the first block, we need to factorize. So 6 and 4, they have a common factor. And remember, I've already explained what factor is, and from the IGCSE lessons, you know what factors are. So we factorize out the 2x because the 2x is a common factor. And which number do we multiply by 2x to get 6x squared? Okay, you got that right. So that is 3x. And then which number do we multiply by 2x to get 4x? That is 2. Okay, so this, the first block has been factorized successfully. The second one, 15x minus 10, what is common? It is 5. So 5 is common. What do we multiply by 5 to get 15x? 3x. And then what do we multiply by 5 to get negative 10? Remember, this is plus 5. So to get negative 10, this must be minus 2. One part to note at this stage is that these brackets that we are creating, the parentheses that we are creating, should be the same. Note that this is 3x minus 2 and this is also 3x minus 2. If you are solving and you realize that this part, the brackets or the parentheses, the contents in the parentheses is different, then you have made a mistake. Then you can go back and adjust this part, the rearrangement, or you can go back and check how you have factorized. These two must be the same. Okay, so once we have achieved that they are the same, we can now take the numbers outside the parentheses, 2x and 5. They create a family of their own. So this will be 2x plus 5. So this is one block. And then because these two are the same, you take one of them and we write it here. Remember, our question is solve for x. Find the roots of the equation. So we don't stop here. If they had told us to just factorize, we stop at this stage. But since they have told us to solve for x or to find the roots, we continue. So this bracket times this bracket equals 0. So either 2x plus 5 equals 0. So at this stage now we have this equation, which is easy to solve. You can get x. So this implies that x equals, when the 5 goes that side and divide, it becomes a negative. So x will be negative 5 over 2. This is a root. So x is, that is the one value of x. Remember we said they are always 2 for a quadratic. And the second one comes from the second bracket. So solving that to find the value of x, it will be 2 out of 3. So these are the two roots. These are the two values of x, and we have solved the question using factorization method. One key thing to note, remember our lesson objectives. Number 1, you need to learn how to solve a quadratic equation using factorizing. You need to learn the difference between a quadratic and other types of equations, and also the quadratic form ax squared plus bx plus c. So these are the three learning objectives. So this is our first example. I hope you understood this first example, and we are continuing with the lesson. Okay, so if you have any questions, don't forget to comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification button so that every time I post something about, because it's going to be a series of lessons, you get a notification so you can be following. Alright, so there's another example here. We are still using factorizing. Now, this one is a fraction, but this type of fraction is called algebraic fractions because it contains letters. Algebra is a science of letters. So, just a quick look at it, you may think that it's not a quadratic, but indeed it is a quadratic. Okay, so let's see how to solve it real fast, and it will be really easy. Really easy. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow Math with Dennis. Okay, my name is Dennis, and we are continuing. Okay, so same question. Solve for x. Okay, solve for x. So another way of asking this could be determine the roots of the equation. All right. So we are mainly focusing on factorizing. So what we do, let's start by multiplying the numerators with the common denominator. And common denominator, you've heard of LCM. So in this case, these are algebraic denominators. So we combine them to create the LCM. Okay, just like what I'm doing right now, like this. Hope it makes sense. So you multiply the each numerator with the combined denominator. I hope everyone understands numerator and denominator now that you're in A level. So I think here we just a moment to erase. Okay, so this part, the denominator was 2x, and this part, the denominator was x plus 3. Okay, all right. So here we can. So basically, what am I doing here? I'm eliminating the fractions. I don't want the fractions to disturb when we are finding the answers to this question. So these ones cancel out. Remember here it is equal to 1. Okay, I'll change the color. Blue doesn't match with the background, so I'll use green now. So now what we have is 10 and x plus 3. So expanding that bracket will give us 10x plus 30, and minus 8x. You can see that at the top we have 8x. Okay, so on the other side, remember we are multiplying all through by the combined LCM, combined denominator. So even here we can multiply like that, x plus 3, x plus 3. Okay, so and on the other side of the equal sign we shall have 2x squared plus 6x, just like this. Okay, now the moment you see the squared coming in, just know now we have our quadratic being formed. So all what we do next is collect like terms, and collecting like terms will lead to 2x plus 4x minus 30 equals 0. Okay, equals 0. So this is a quadratic which you can solve using the method that I just showed you in the previous page. So remember we said that look for the factors. There is a product and sum. So in this case, who can tell me the product and the sum? So in this case, the product is, who got it correct? Okay, I guess you did. Give me. So the product and the sum. So the product is 2. Remember we said if the coefficient of x squared is not 1, you have to multiply. Basically we will always multiply even if it is 1. So basically the product will be negative 60. Not 66, 60. And the sum will be 4. So we think about the factors of 60, a pair that we can add to get 4. Remember the x should not confuse you. You can ignore it at this stage. We are looking for the factors. Okay, so let's start. Factors of 60 that can help us get, so like I explained in the first page, so here will be a little bit quicker, and the two numbers we multiply to get 60 and add to get 4, you think about 6 and 10. Okay, you think about 6 and 10. So 6 and 10. So which number do we give a negative sign so that we can get a negative 60 and a positive 4? That would be positive 4, that would be, I think, that would be negative 10. Alright? Negative 10, negative 6. I think negative 6, sorry about that, negative 6. So now we write our equation 2x squared. And now remember, we always substitute the b part, the coefficient of x, the sum, always is substituted. So we shall have plus 10x and then minus 6x. So 10x minus 6x, we get there 4x, and then minus 30 equals 0. And we split up these parts like that. We split them up like this. And then we find the common factors. So the first common one is 2x, you can see that. And then this is x plus, what do we multiply by 2x to get 10x? 5. This has to be the same here. Just find the common one here. The common one is negative 6. And then this will be x. To get negative 30, we have to multiply by positive 5. Do you see that the brackets, the parentheses, and the contents are the same? If you have achieved this, then we take the contents outside each parenthesis and we make it one block. So this is now 2x minus 6. Okay. And then we take x plus 5 as another. Remember the question was to solve for x, find the roots. So 2x, so we can write the word either. 2x minus 6 is 0. This implies that the value of x will be 3. So x equals 3, that is one value. And then, or x plus 5 equals 0, implying that the value of x is negative 5. This is another value. Alright. Is it negative 5? Positive 5. Let's see. I'm checking to see that the factors are correct. Yeah, factorizing. Let me see, for x minus 30. Yeah, the values are okay. The values are okay. X plus 5 and then 2x minus 6. 6x, negative 6x minus 30. 2x squared plus 10. Okay. All right. Okay. Also, there is a quick way of checking if our answers are correct by putting them back in the equation to make sure that we can get what the equation gives. And I'll do that real quickly. So 10 divided by negative 10, that would be negative 1, and 4 divided by negative 5, no, wait. So negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. So 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. There's something that we need to check about this. Just give me a second, especially for the second value, 2x squared. I'll just go back to the top beginning of question to see if I misrepresented any sign. There's some oversight. Just a second. X squared. Okay, I'm checking. So this is 4x minus 30. Okay, I think I saw something around the factors. Let's give this a second round. Just a second, some error, sorry. Okay, I was checking the answer, but it wasn't, I was checking if our values can satisfy, but only the 3 would satisfy, but the negative 5 wasn't. So that is why I'm going to repeat this part. Sorry for that. So now, let's start. Okay, so at this point where we are solving or collecting like terms, we shall have 2x squared, okay, plus 4x minus 30 equals 0. Remember, any quadratic must have a 0 at the other side. This is 4x, okay. Okay, so this part is where we are going to look for the factors, and two numbers we multiply to get negative. Remember, we said if the coefficient of x squared is not 1, we always multiply. So when we multiply, we get negative 60. Okay. So if we get negative 60, that is our product. I explained that in the first one. So now we shall have 2x squared minus 6x, yeah, plus 10x, okay, equals, oh wait, okay, there is a minus 30. Okay, I think this was the part I missed in the first working. My pen is a bit faulty today. Okay, so minus 30 equals 0. Okay, this is what we have. Now we are going to, yes, now this I think was an oversight, sorry about that. So we are now going to pair up everything. This is 10. Okay, so here we can factorize out the 2x, and now we shall have x minus 3. Okay, and now we can factorize out the 10 here, because 10x and 30, so now this is plus 10 into x minus 3. Okay, yeah, now we fixed it. So now here we shall have the numbers outside, create one block, 10. Actually, yeah, this is correct now. And then, so, and then the other pair will be x minus 3. X minus 3 equals 0. Since it is solving, so we say either 2x plus 10 equals 0, implying that x is, so when 10 crosses, is it minus 10 plus 10? Let's see. Basically here we get x as negative 5, and let's see, oh my God, my pen is not working well. So minus 6 plus 10 is 4x, and then 10x minus 30, 2x squared minus 6x. Okay, so all these steps are correct. Yeah, so our x will be negative 5 here, like we got in the first situation, and then x minus 3 will be 0, implying, okay, there is a word or here, x is 3. Okay, so this would be the solution. The solution is negative 5 and 3, two answers. Continuing to our last one, and we close this lesson. Okay, so our last exam question and an example of using factorization. Remember, our targets, our learning objective is learn how to use factorization, differentiate between other forms of equations and quadratic equations, and also understand some new terminologies like roots. Alright, so here is a question. They're telling us that quadratics can be formed. Okay, this is kind of a practical example, application of quadratics, and they want us to solve for x, but you can see that it is really disguised, and if you're not careful, you may mistake it to be another form of equation. But this is typically a quadratic equation. Let's see how to solve it. Um, they're saying that the area of a trapezium is 36 meters squared, so for x. So we all know that this the formula actually in A level during the exams they'll give you a formula booklet, okay, formula booklet which with different formulae that you need for your exam. Remember the paper code is 9709. That is for international math students, AS level and A2 or A level. Year 12, year 13, 9709 is the code for maths. Alright, so here we have the formula for the area of a trapezium and we have the shape here. So the two straight sides that are facing each other, opposite to each other, are the A and B. And then the vertical side is the H or the height. So all we have to do is substitute in the formula. So we have 2x plus 1 and then plus 2x minus 5, that is the B, okay, and then times the H, which is x plus 2, and then over the 2, okay, and then all of this gives us the area. I wanted to make a bigger square bracket. All of this gives us 36, just as it is mentioned in the question detail. Alright, so let's go, and also just a correction in the formula. Okay. I want to get an eraser, just a second, to do this. But all the same, let's leave it. Okay, so let's start by the first part, collecting like terms, adding brackets. So this will be 4x minus 4, okay, and then this is over 2, and then times x plus 2. Sorry, I'm writing the x like this just to show the difference between the multiplication sign and the x. You have to be careful with that, shouldn't confuse you. Equals 36. So basically I'm going to cancel this 2 with these 4's. So now I have 2x minus 2. Okay, this is multiplying x plus 2 equals 36. I hope you're still following. And then this, we can expand it to get 2x squared, okay, plus 4x minus 2x minus 4 equals 36, and collecting like terms will give us 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 36. Making sure that it is a quadratic with a 0 after the equal sign will give us 2x squared plus 2x minus 40 equals 0. Now at this stage, I would like to leave some homework for you to apply factorization and solve this equation, and the final answer will be 4. Okay, it will be x, one of the answers will be x equals 4 and the other will be x equals negative 5. But because we are talking about length, okay, it cannot be negative, so this you can write it, but you ignore it in case you have another part where you're supposed to use the answer you got in this part A. You can't use a negative length, but for purposes of the exam you write both of them because this is the correct working, that gives us negative 5 and x equals 4. Okay, I would like to leave you some homework and completing this question to find the values of x up to where I have stopped, and also reminding you about these questions at the start. The extreme left as your homework. Apply factorization. Remember, our learning objective today was differentiate between a quadratic and other forms of equation. Number 2, learn how to solve quadratic equations using factorization, and also some new terminologies that have come along the way, like roots. Okay, and also reminding you about the ideas, the basics of quadratics. Well, thank you very much for attending this class. It's been a long class, but I hope you understood. Try out the homework, watch the video over and over again, follow the explanation, and in case you have any questions, please comment in the comment section, and I'll be addressing the questions in the next video. We're still looking at quadratics. This is the first chapter of the pure mathematics, and the paper code is 9709 for international math students preparing for their year 12 exams, AS level exams. This is the first chapter and the first subtopic. Subscribe, follow, like, and share, and I'll see you in the next video. I love you guys. Thank you for following. Thank you for subscribing. Share with a friend, and excel in mathematics with Dennis. See you. Bye bye.